The silent response. The stars themselves seemed to dim as 1,500 warships emerged from hyperspace. Each vessel stretched 3 miles long, their obsidian hulls absorbing light, like wounds in space itself. The Corathian Dominion had arrived at Earth with the same confidence they had brought to 900 other worlds. Not one had lasted more than 3 hours. Commander Thrakos stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Conquest. His 6 eyes focused on the blue marble floating before him. Such a small world, such primitive inhabitants. The intelligence reports suggested these humans had only achieved faster-than-light communication in the past decade. They possessed no interstellar vessels, no orbital defense platforms worthy of the name, no allies among the galactic powers. Tactical analysis complete, announces Lieutenant Voros. The younger Corathian scales rippled with anticipation. The inhabitants possessed nuclear fission weapons and primitive chemical rockets. Their strongest military assets are atmospheric fighters that cannot even reach high orbit. Total threat assessment, negligible. Thrakos allowed himself the luxury of satisfaction. The Dominion's expansion into this sector would be complete within the rotation. His name would be recorded in the archives of conquest, alongside the greatest commanders in their 10,000-year history. He turned to his communications officer. Open a channel to the planet. All frequencies, all languages in our database. 300 light seconds away, deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, Director Sarah Chun watched the alien fleet on her displays. The Global Defense Initiative's command center buzzed with controlled activity. Technicians monitored every aspect of Earth's response, while military advisors from every nation coordinated through quantum-encrypted channels. 1,500 ships confirmed, reported Colonel James Wright, her tactical advisor. Energy signatures indicate weapon systems far exceeding anything in our theoretical models. Conservative estimates suggest each ship could level a continent within hours. Sarah nodded, her expression calm despite the magnitude of threat. She had been preparing for this moment for 15 years, ever since humanity's deep space listeners had detected the first signs of the Corathian Dominion's expansion. Earth had known this day would come. Earth had prepared. Status of Project Nightfall? She asked quietly. Dr. Kenji Yamamoto looked up from his quantum computer terminal. All stations report ready. The dimensional fold generators are stable. We have one shot at this, Director. If they adapt to our frequency modulation, we won't get a second chance. The main screen flickered to life as the alien transmission came through. Commander Thrakos appeared, his serpentine form towering 8 feet tall, even while seated. His voice, translated by their computers, boomed through the command center. Inhabitants of the 3rd planet, you stand before the might of the Corathian Dominion. We have claimed this star system as part of our eternal empire. You have one planetary rotation to prepare your surrender. Compliance will result in merciful integration into our service. Resistance will result in the complete annihilation of your species. You have seen our fleet. You know you cannot stand against us. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. The command center fell silent. Sarah stood and looked around the room at the faces of Earth's defenders. Scientists who had worked in secret for over a decade. Military officers who had put aside national rivalries to face a common threat. Engineers who had built impossible things because humanity needed them to be possible. Open a channel to respond, she ordered. Channel open, Director. Sarah paused. Then she smiled. End transmission. Director? Colonel Wright looked confused. Don't we want to? No, Sarah replied. We don't negotiate with those who threaten our existence. We don't beg for mercy from conquerors. We respond in the only language they understand. She turned to Dr. Yamamoto. Initiate Nightfall Protocol. Authorization. Alpha 771. Across the Earth, hidden installations powered up. Not weapons in any conventional sense, but something far more devastating. Humanity had not spent the last decade building bigger guns or stronger shields. They had done what humans did best. They had found an entirely different solution to an impossible problem. Commander Thrakos waited on his bridge for Earth's response. Every species reacted differently to the Dominion's ultimatum. Some begged, some raged, some tried to negotiate. A few even attempted to flee, though none had ever succeeded. But silence? This was new. Perhaps their communication systems are too primitive to respond properly, suggested Voros. Or they're too terrified to speak, added another officer. Thrakos was not satisfied with either explanation. Something felt wrong. His instincts, honed through centuries of conquest, detected an anomaly he couldn't quite identify. He studied the tactical displays again. Earth's military forces hadn't mobilized. Their cities showed no signs of panic. It was as if the entire planet was simply waiting. Increase sensor resolution, he ordered. I want to know everything happening on that world. The enhanced scans revealed something unexpected. Energy readings from dozens of locations across the planet, but not from any obvious military installations. The signatures were coming from what appeared to be research facilities, power plants, even some universities. The energy type was unfamiliar, unlike anything in the Dominion's extensive database. What are they doing? Voros asked, his confidence wavering slightly. Before Thrakos could respond, every alarm on the bridge screamed to life. Dr. Yamamoto's fingers flew across his controls as Project Nightfall entered its final phase. Dimensional fold generators at optimal frequency. Quantum entanglement established with all target vessels. Initiating phase shift in T-minus 30 seconds. Sarah watched the countdown timer while her team reported ready status from stations around the globe. Nightfall wasn't a weapon designed to destroy enemy ships. It was something far more elegant and far more terrifying. Humanity had discovered something the Korathians, for all their technological superiority, had missed. Space itself could be folded, twisted, and manipulated at the quantum level. T-minus 10 seconds, Yamamoto announced. Sarah thought about all the worlds that had fallen to the Dominion, all the civilizations that had been enslaved or destroyed. It ended today, not with massive space battle or a desperate last stand, but with humanity doing what it had always done, finding a third option when presented with only two. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, execute. The space around Earth rippled. Reality itself seemed to hiccup. And then, in the span of a single heartbeat, something impossible happened. Humanity's answer. Every ship in the Korathian fleet experienced the same phenomenon simultaneously. One moment they existed in normal space, their crews at battle stations, their weapons charged and ready. The next moment, they were somewhere else entirely. Not destroyed, not damaged, but displaced. Commander Thrakos felt the shift before his instruments registered it. The stars outside his viewport were wrong. No, not just wrong, they were moving, spinning. His ship, along with every other vessel in his fleet, was tumbling through space at impossible angles. But that wasn't the worst part. Commander, his navigation officer's voice cracked with panic. We're not in the same dimension anymore. We're caught between phase states. The readings were incomprehensible. They existed in real space, but also didn't. They could see the universe around them, but they couldn't interact with it. Weapons fired, but the energy dissipated into nothing. Engines pushed, but generated no thrust. They were ghosts, trapped between dimensions, able to observe, but unable to affect anything. Get us out of this. Thrakos roared, but he already knew it was too late. On Earth, the quantum sensors confirmed what Sarah had hoped for, but barely dared to believe. All 1,500 enemy ships had been successfully phase shifted into a dimensional pocket. They existed in a parallel phase of reality, offset from normal space-time by a quantum frequency that would take them centuries to decode, if they ever could. Confirmation from all stations, Dr. Yamamoto reported, his voice filled with awe at what they had accomplished. The enemy fleet has been completely neutralized. They exist in a stable phase bubble, but cannot interact with our dimension. They're alive but completely harmless. Sarah nodded, then turned to her communications officer. Open a channel. Broadcast on all frequencies, all languages. Make sure every civilization in this galaxy hears what I'm about to say. The message that went out from Earth that day would echo through galactic history. It was short, simple, and changed everything. This is Director Sarah Chun of Earth's Global Defense Initiative. The Corathian Dominion's invasion fleet has been neutralized without loss of life. They are unharmed but have been removed from our dimensional phase. They will be returned to normal space once they agree to cease all aggressive actions against Earth and other worlds. We did not seek this conflict, but we have ended it. Let this be a message to any who would threaten our world or any other peaceful civilization. Humanity does not conquer. We do not destroy. But we will defend ourselves and others with methods you cannot predict or prevent. Earth stands ready to be a friend to all who come in peace. We will be an insurmountable obstacle to those who come with conquest in their hearts. The reaction across the galaxy was immediate and profound. The Corathian Dominion, which had seemed unstoppable for millennia, had been defeated in less than 60 seconds by a species that had barely achieved interstellar communication. Military academies on 1,000 worlds immediately began revising their tactical doctrines. Diplomatic channels that had been closed for centuries reopened as civilizations realized the balance of power had fundamentally shifted. On the observation station at the edge of the solar system, Ambassador Xelex of the Altarian Federation watched the replay of the event for the 100th time. His aide floated beside him, still processing what they had witnessed. How did they do it? The aide asked. The energy requirements alone should have been impossible for a single-planet civilization. Xelex turned his ancient eyes toward Earth. They did what humans have always done. Even before they knew they weren't alone, they looked at an impossible problem and refused to accept that it was impossible. While Corathians built bigger weapons and stronger shields, the humans asked a different question entirely. They didn't ask how to win a battle. They asked how to make the battle irrelevant. Within hours, delegations from dozens of civilizations began arriving at Earth's orbital stations, not with threats or demands, but with offers of trade, alliance, and cultural exchange. The small blue planet that had been marked for conquest was suddenly the most important world in the known galaxy. In his phase-shifted prison, Commander Thracos stared at the stars he could see, but not reach. His empire's greatest fleet defeated without a shot being fired. No glorious battle. No heroic last stand. Just a simple demonstration that technological superiority meant nothing if your enemy refused to fight on your terms. What are your orders, Commander? Voros asked quietly. Thracos was silent for a long moment. Then, for the first time in his centuries of life, he spoke words he had never imagined he would say. Send a message to Earth. Tell them the Corathian Dominion agrees to their terms. Back in the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Saracen finally allowed herself to relax. Around her, her team celebrated humanity's first and most important victory in interstellar politics. They had done more than defend Earth. They had announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage in a way no one would ever forget. Colonel Wright approached her with a tablet showing the incoming diplomatic messages. We're receiving alliance offers from 17 different civilizations. The Galactic Council wants to fast-track Earth's membership. The Andromedan Science Collective is offering to share their database in exchange for the theory behind our dimensional phase technology. Sarah smiled. And so it begins, not with conquest or submission, but with humanity taking its place as equals among the stars. She looked up at the main screen, which now showed the empty space where the Corathian fleet had been. Schedule a conference with all interested parties. It's time Earth properly introduced itself to the galaxy. Dr. Yamamoto joined them, exhaustion and exhilaration mixing on his face. What do you think will happen now? Sarah looked at him, then at all the people who had made this moment possible. Now we do what humans do best. We learn, we grow, and we make friends with former enemies. And if anyone else decides to threaten our world, or any other, she gestured to the displays, showing the phase-shifted fleet. Well, let's just say Project Nightfall was only the beginning of what humanity can accomplish when motivated. The age of Earth's isolation was over. The age of humanity's true potential had just begun. And across the galaxy, civilizations that had dismissed the small blue planet as insignificant suddenly realized that the universe had just become a far more interesting place. In the years that followed, the battle that never was, as historians would call it, would be studied and analyzed by military strategists across the galaxy. But they would all miss the most important lesson. It wasn't about the technology or the tactics. It was about the fundamental nature of humanity itself, a species that, when faced with certain destruction, had chosen to protect rather than destroy, to neutralize rather than annihilate, and to offer friendship even to those who would come as conquerors. The Carathian fleet would eventually be released, their empire transformed by the experience. Commander Thrakos would become one of Earth's strongest allies, often remarking that humanity had conquered them more thoroughly with mercy than his people had ever conquered with force. And Earth? Earth became the mediator, the protector, the voice of reason in a galaxy that had known only might makes right for far too long. Not because humanity was stronger or more advanced, but because when faced with the ultimate test, they had chosen to be better. The stars no longer seemed quite so dark, and the universe no longer quite so hostile. Humanity had announced itself, and the galaxy would never be the same.